Hello everyone, this is the second in a two-part series regarding team development with Acumatica. In our last video we went through creating our Visual Studio solution, pushing the code to Git, and setting up a build pipeline. In this video we will go through some more examples of team collaboration, with one of the main elements being pull requests. Specifically in this diagram we can see the path which we will go through. We will be following two actors, Kate and John. In the first video we have actually already followed Kate as she created the project and pushed the code to Azure DevOps. In this video we will start with John, who will pull the code from the master branch, then create a new branch to implement his task. Once he has completed the code changes, John will push the code to Git and also will create a pull request. Kate will then be notified and she will review and complete the pull request. Finally, once the full pull request has been completed, DevOps will automatically build and check the project for us. In order to have the best experience, it's ideal to install the pull request for Visual Studio extension. However, something to consider is that at this stage, this extension is not yet compatible with the new Git experience in Visual Studio. Therefore, we will disable the new experience and revert to the original functionality so that we can install and make use of this pull request extension. To disable the new Git experience, we need to go to Tools, Options in Visual Studio, then Preview Features, and untick the new Git experience checkbox. Let's now go to Azure DevOps to see which tasks are currently assigned to us. So let's say that we are currently logged in as John, and here we can see that there's this particular user story with two tasks. Now we're going to clone the repository so that we can start the work. To do that, we will first go to the repos menu and then branches, then select the master branch, and from here I can click on clone. This will give us the full URL so that we can then clone the repository onto our machine. Let's go to the File Explorer and we'll create a new folder. Let's call it Solution, and I will use the git command to clone the repository. There are other options, you can do it from Visual Studio as well, but in this case let's proceed and clone the repository using the command line. I will type git clone, then paste the URL we had previously copied from onto our clipboard. I am adding a dot so that it doesn't create a subfolder but clones the repository directly into this folder. It will take some time to complete while it is downloading all our source code. As John, I have already set up the Acumatica site, and we will now add the customization project with the same title as the one which was originally added by Kate. In that case it was ABC. I will save, and then I will access the customization, which is of course empty at this stage, but I will use the open from folder function so that we can load the customization which was previously saved by Kate. At the moment it only has the DLL reference. If we go back to the file system, we can open Visual Studio so that we can start the development of the tasks. If we go to the work items, we will currently see the tasks that are currently assigned to us as John in the Azure DevOps board. Next, I will go to branches and I will create a new branch for the task which I need to work on. So I will click on the master branch and select new local branch from. I will name this branch something which is related to my task, of course. In this case, we are adding mentor to the employee. So I will name the branch as follows. I usually name my branches with feat, standing for feature, so that they are grouped together as feature branches. In fact, Visual Studio will also automatically create a subfolder for us. Let's now fast forward a bit, and let's say that as John I have completed all the required tasks and I have added the employee mentor. For example, here we can see the extension with the new field, and also, but one important thing that is required is to save the screen changes as well to Git and to our repository. This is done using the save project to folder function, which is available in the customization project, and this will save the full customization to our file system. If we go back to Visual Studio and Theme Explorer, we can see the full set of changes that have been added, including the ones related to our last save project to folder. What I also typically like to do before committing the changes and syncing them is to go through one last time through all the changes and check each individually. This will allow us to compare the original version with the updated changes. This is mostly just to have a final look that everything is correct before committing these changes. Another useful aspect is to link our commit with the work item. This is done directly from within Visual Studio as well, where we can select the work item to be added to our changes, which would then also be recorded in Azure DevOps, and the commit and the work item would be linked together so that there is full visibility of what this commit is about. I can now proceed and add a commit message and select the option to commit and push at the same time our changes to Azure DevOps. This will only update our current branch, which is the employee mentor branch. We can see the message that the operation has been completed successfully, and the next step is to create a pull request so that our changes can then be merged with the main code once they are reviewed. To create a pull request, we need to click on New Pull Request. Here we can see that the intention is to merge our branch with the master branch. And again, here we can have another look at the items which will be included in this pull request. Once that is ready, I can select the reviewer. In this case, it will of course be Kate, who will check our pull request. And then I can create the pull request. Kate will of course receive a notification that a pull request has been created for her to review. Let's say that we are logged in as Kate in Azure DevOps, and from here we can see the pull requests which are currently assigned to us. And we will of course find the one which John has just created. We can even see the work item which it is currently linked to. And here we have also visibility of the files and the changes that this pull request contains. If we go on Visual Studio and click on pull requests, we can again see the pull request. Let's open it, and this will include all the changes which have been submitted by John as part of his pull request. We can go through each item individually to review and confirm whether there is anything which we might consider rejecting or perhaps asking for a change. In this case, we didn't find anything which needs to be changed, so we will go ahead and approve the pull request. One limitation with the pull request extension is that you cannot mark it as complete. This is because once you approve it, there is one additional step which needs to be done to mark the pull request as completed, and at the moment it cannot be done from this extension. So we will open the pull request in the browser, and from here we have the facility to complete the pull request. Once the pull request is completed, the changes from the source branch, in this case the employee mentor branch, will be merged into the master so that the master would contain the full set of changes. When completing the pull request, we will have some options on whether to, for example, delete the source branch after merging. In this case, I'm going to actually untick that, and I will proceed and complete. Azure DevOps is now handling all the required steps to complete the pull request, and once that is ready, we will have the status changed to complete. Let's go to the master branch so that we can confirm that it has been updated. In the history tab, we can see the pull request commit together with the previous commit which John had carried out. In part 1 of this video, we had set up build pipelines, and here we can see that the pipeline is currently being processing. We can click on it to view the details, and if we click on the job, we will be able to see what's the current progress of the pipeline processing. Currently it's restoring NuGet packages, and the next step would be to start the build process, but it will of course take some time, so I will fast forward the recording until completion. It has now completed successfully, and there are no error and no warnings. So now we can go back to Visual Studio, and let's say that we are now logged in as John again, and we need to start working on the next task. But before we start, it's a good practice that we update our branch first, our master branch. And although there weren't other developers who have done code changes, we are still actually one commit behind because we don't have the merge commit, which was done through the pull request. So let's proceed and sync our master branch. And if we go back to home, then branches and view history on master, we can see that we now also have the latest commit. Let's also have a look at the tasks which we have pending as John. There are still 2 tasks, but we had actually completed the first task, so we can mark this as completed from Visual Studio directly. And now we will start working on this second task, where we need to add a validation so that reports to end mentor cannot be the same person. Let's go back to branches. From here we can actually delete the old branch as it is no longer needed. All the changes which were in the branch have now been merged to the master branch. So master branch is fully updated. Now from the master branch we can create a new branch specific for this task which we will be working on. We can call this feature branch employee validation. Let's now fast forward again, and John has completed all the required development work for this new validation. If we go to changes, we will be able to see the changes that we have done as John. For example, there are changes to the DAC extension, the addition of a graph, etc. Let's also link the work item so that there is again visibility of the commit and what it is about. We will then add a commit message, and we can sync to push our changes. I am getting this error because I had clicked on commit and sync, and what happens during a sync is that Visual Studio will try to do a fetch first, but since this branch had never been pushed, it of course failed because it didn't find the branch. What I should have done actually is just commit and push, but in this case we can correct it by selecting push from this panel. Next we will create a new pull request, and of course we will assign Kate as our reviewer. Azure DevOps also allows linking work items to both pull requests and commits. So here we can go ahead and link the work item to the pull request. So let's create the pull request, and Kate would again be notified accordingly. Let's now switch to Kate. So as being logged in as Kate, we can see that there is a pull request assigned to us. Let's open the pull request and we can start going through the code. And let's say that we actually find something that we don't like. So we will add a comment where we can even mention John so that he is immediately notified. And we will ask him not to apply the validation if employee mentor is null. We can also change the pull request status to await for author so that we can wait for John until he completes his task. We're now shifting back to John. So as John, we will find the pull request and the status. Let's proceed and correct the issue. And something important is that we don't need to create a new pull request. Since there is one which is already pending, we just need to commit and push our changes. Kate will then be able to view these changes in the current pull request as a new update. Let's enter a message to push our changes so that these are available for Kate as a new update. But in addition, something else which we need to do as well is to reply back to Kate's comment. So let's do that and let her know that the issue has now been resolved. So now we are back to Kate and we still have the pull request open. And now we can compare update 2, which include the latest changes which John has delivered, against update 1. We confirm that all is good now and we can mark this comment as closed. Finally, as Kate, we would need to approve this pull request, and similar to previous, we would need to mark it as completed from the web browser. This concludes the overview of how pull requests can help in team collaboration in your Acumatica projects. Thank you for viewing.